Kai Cenat recently just did something super impressive, and that's playing Elden Ring start to finish on one stream without ever ending the stream. Of course, he didn't play, front to end without sleeping because the game is so big that would just be crazy to do. He ended up streaming for about a total of 168 hours, and he did stream himself sleeping too, which is... that's what people do in subathons. It's actually really funny. I told my mom about, him doing this stream and that he just streams the entire time until he beats the game. And my mom was like, oh, okay, so he must end the stream when he sleeps, right? And I was like, no, he keeps the stream on while he's sleeping. And my mom was like, oh, that's pretty weird. My mom's not super in tune with live stream culture or anything like that. She hardly knows what YouTube is. But I don't know, I just thought that was funny, me telling her about that, and she just thought it was weird. But Kai Cenat completed a feat on Elden Ring that I guarantee about 90% of the people who beat Elden Ring didn't even do. And that's beating Elden Ring with no magic and no summons, completely solo, no co-op either. And I've seen a lot of stupid people undermine this achievement, and people can play the game however they want, but when I see a bunch of people calling him a bad player and that he sucks at the game, and he beat the game in a way that almost nobody beats the game, I think it's really commendable, and I just don't understand why people can't let other people play the game how they want. I saw this tweet that said he used Rivers of Blood, so therefore he didn't beat the game. And this shit is just so stupid. The hardcore Souls players have to be one of the most annoying types of people on the entire planet, because if you play Souls games, which are extremely hard games, if you don't play Souls games with your fucking hands tied behind your back and a blindfold on, then you basically didn't even play the game in their eyes. Kai also didn't even rush the main bosses. He beat quite a lot of the side bosses actually. He beat Malenia, which took him about a total of 23 hours of playtime. That's not sleeping, literally sitting there playing the game. It took him about 23 hours of playtime to kill that one single boss. He was on that one single boss, sitting there restarting that boss for 23 hours of playtime. And I think just the patience and the dedication and being like, okay, I'm not going to use summons for that entire 23 hours. I will get this eventually, I think is really commendable. I mean, even if it took him 50 hours, 100 hours for that one single boss, I think it's really cool. He even beat Star Scourge Radahn, which if you know anything about Elden Ring, Star Scourge Radahn is a pretty difficult boss. The game actually gives you 15 summons, and you can resummon your teammates once they're dead. So he's a really difficult boss. I mean, the game literally gives you 15 people to help you fight this one boss. And, Kai did it. No magic, no other people, no mimics, no summons, nothing. He did it with just himself, and he stayed on the boss until he beat it. That's really impressive to me, because that's not even something that I did when I beat the game. When I beat the game the first time, I actually, summoned multiplayer people to help me. Not because I really needed it, I'm sure I could have gotten it eventually, right? But because I think it was just a really cool mechanic at the time. This was before I started streaming, this was before I made YouTube videos, is when I beat Elden Ring. So, back then I was just playing the game just to play the game. For content, it's obviously 10,000 times better to just sit on a boss over and over and over again until you yourself overcome it. And that's what I think is really cool about Elden Ring. The game is really about you. You get stronger. The enemies that you fight at the very beginning of the game, the bosses, some of the bosses that you fight at the very beginning of the game, they turn into regular enemies later on. And this isn't unique to Elden Ring. There's plenty of Souls games that do the same mechanic, where a boss at the beginning of the game just turns into a regular enemy at the end of the game. And I think that's really cool about Elden Ring and Souls games in general, is where it's really about you. It's about you becoming stronger, learning shit about the game. And that's why I really like it. But a lot of people undermine what Kai did because he uses a dexterity bleed build. And bleed is really OP. If you're unfamiliar with bleed, basically if you get a dexterity weapon, which is most likely something like a knife, just some sharp sword, some sharp thin sword, nothing really strong, nothing like a great sword or anything like that. You hit the enemy multiple times and eventually it bleeds them. And when it bleeds, it cuts off a pretty big chunk of their health. And that's the build he used. and I still think it's impressive because I think anybody can play a game however they want. Even if he used like a fuck ton of summons, even if he used magic, even if he spawned people in co-op, I still think it's fine. I would never complain about how another person plays a game. That is so lame. But honestly, just his patience in general that he had with all the bosses, and even the bosses that he didn't need to kill. And chat let him know that he didn't need to kill some bosses, but he was like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking do it anyway. Like, for example, when you get out of the tutorial in Elden Ring, you come across a boss. Now, this is a really difficult boss. You're not supposed to kill it. I mean, you can kill it whenever you want, but you're clearly not supposed to kill it right when you spawn out of the tutorial mode. Like, it's very clear. You do very little damage to the boss. The boss does a lot of damage to you. Like, it's very clear that this first boss that you see, you're supposed to go do other shit around the game, and then eventually you'll come back to this boss and kill it when you feel like you're strong enough. And Kai said, nope, I'm going to kill this boss immediately, which, again, isn't unique to him. A lot of people have done that, but I just think it's so lame how people on Twitter and people in general just say he's a bad player and he's dog shit at the game. And, you know, when he did shit that most people would never do. Like, it would have been embarrassing if he tried for 2 hours on the boss and he was like, all right, I can't do this shit. I'm not going to kill the boss. He didn't do that. He's stuck on the very first enemy that you see when you pass tutorial for 5 hours. He sat restarting that boss for 5 hours straight. And eventually he did kill it. I don't remember what character. I think he picked the samurai class. I don't know what level that character is off spawn. Maybe like level 10 or something like that. So he beat that boss as a level 10 character 5 hours straight, you know, learning the moves. And I think that was a really integral part of him understanding, okay, this is what kind of game I'm playing. Like, I'm going to sit here for hours on one enemy, and I'm eventually going to kill it. Because that's ultimately what Souls games are. You know, you find a boss, you get fucked up, the boss fucks you up for quite a few attempts, maybe a couple hours, and, you know, through those hours, you're understanding its moves. Okay, when this boss moves his right hand up, he's about to do this attack. This is how I should dodge that. Okay, when they move their left leg in this certain area, they're about to do this attack, you know? If they, you know, do this attack, I have to wait 3 seconds and then roll, and then I'll dodge it. That's what the game is. So I think him beating that boss was like an integral part in him understanding, okay, this is the type of game I'm playing. This is, okay. But overall, I think it was really impressive, you know? Like I said a bunch of times, I think anybody beating Elden Ring or any Souls game however they want is cool, you know? You paid the money for the fucking game. Don't let anybody else tell you how to play it. That's so unbelievably lame. And it's cool watching a challenge. Like, I think people who play these games and they do it because they love the challenge of it and they love doing level 1 runs. If I might be playing this in the background. I don't know what video I'm playing behind this commentary, but I mean, I do challenge runs. This gameplay that you're hopefully watching, if I edited this correctly, this is me killing the bosses in Elden Ring at level 1. I'm doing an Elden Ring level 1 run on my Twitch right now. Quick little shameless plug. Twitch TV, it's Vivily. And I'm trying to beat the game at level 1 as a level 1 wretch with no armor and just the level 1 club you get from starting the game. I didn't use keepsakes for Margit. I'm not using any summons either. I'm not using magic, none of that shit. It's literally just a level 1 character, no armor, club. That's it. I can upgrade my weapon. I originally wasn't going to do that, actually. I was making it way harder for myself. The first 3 bosses, Margit, what's his name? Godric, I think. I get confused between Godfrey and Godric, but I think it's Godric is the second one. And then Red Wolf of Radagon, which kicked my ass. I was a Red Wolf of Radagon for 4 hours, which is crazy. Because Red Wolf of Radagon is like such an easy boss, but at level 1 with all his like magic moves on top of his physical attacks, it's just so hard because you have such little health. But anyway, yeah, for those first 3 bosses, I didn't upgrade my weapon at all, and I didn't use any keepsakes. And the Renala fight was so fucking annoying because the Renala fight, phase 1 is unbelievably easy. You get through phase 1 every single time. Phase 2 is insanely difficult, and the run back when you die to get to Renala is just like, oh my god, it sucks, right? So, yeah, for Renala, I was like, okay, I'm going to use a fucking keepsake, and I'm going to upgrade my weapon, because this is so obnoxious. This run back, and then having to go through phase 1 just to get to phase 2 and die every single time is annoying. But I did eventually kill her, which is cool, so I'm probably going to use keepsakes for the remainder of the run. But overall, the point of that little story was that I think that challenge runs are cool. I think that beating the game, you know, with a super OP fucking build and magic and summons and 10,000 players on co-op, I think that's also cool. Overall, I think it's cool however you want to beat the game. Just beat the game, dude. And a lot of people like making fun of Kai just for no reason. I mean, I really don't understand why, because he's literally beat the game in a way that 90% of the people have not beat the game. 0 summons, 0 magic. Just him going in until he beats the game. And yeah, I just think that's really commendable. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about it for a little bit. I appreciate y'all. Elden Ring DLC drops in a month and 2 days, I believe. I believe it drops on June 21st. That'll be hype. I'll definitely be streaming that. Elden Ring's my favorite game of all time. And yeah, I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.